Kennedy with you today, and the time is changing. Tomorrow night, I'm going to lose an hour's worth of sleep. Ah! But really, I'm going to sleep better. Why do we have time zones or time or anything? I mean, it used to be that it was noon at a certain time in Maine, but it was a different time maybe in Vermont. Time was, centered around noon when the sun was at its highest, was noon for that area you were in. So it would have been possible to get in a train, travel for a half an hour, and, arrive before you left, like time travel. And so with the introduction of the railroads, this is what brought it on, was a scheduling nightmare. So to counteract that, we went to some kind of standard time. But there were different time zones. Why would there be different time zones? I mean, why can't we all? Well, because the Earth rotates in different parts of the world or country are in darkness or light at different periods of time. So I think it's, in Maine, if it's noon, it's 4 hours earlier in Alaska. And because of this thing based on the sun. And why would you do that? Well, because we have this thing called circadian rhythm. Our bodies are tuned to know that when it's light out, we are awake, and when it's dark out, we sleep. So I personally find the time change either way, whenever it happens, very beneficial. Now, what's been happening these last 2 weeks, I've noticed more and more, if this is given my sleep apnea is under control, which it is right now for a while, I end up waking up at 5:30. And I'm like, I don't want to wake up at 5:30. 6:30 or 7 is fine for me. And plus, my wife might be sleeping, and I'm laying there, get something to read on my phone or something like that if I can't fall back asleep. But switching the time so it isn't 5:30, it's now 6:30 is going to help me, because again, I can see dramatically that my rhythm of wakefulness and sleep is tied to the sun, the amount of light and the amount of darkness. And so I just don't get it why other people are so upset. I suppose, I'm in a house, there's a window in the bedroom, and so, we've got curtains, but light still comes in, whether it's, what time of day it is, basically, you can tell. But I suppose some people probably live in caves. They might live in an apartment that doesn't have any windows, or few windows, or, I never liked the idea that, working some long days at a factory once, photo finishing factory, you'd go there in the dark, and you'd leave in the dark. Like, what? You didn't see any sun at all, unless you went out during, lunch or the break. But I personally find the time change to be enormously helpful to my sleep cycle. And even when it switches the other way, all you have really, at least I've experienced, you might have one day of discomfort, like, oh, gee, I'm tired today. Well, big deal. You could have gone to bed an hour early, maybe, to avoid that. But still, I can't imagine there would be anyone whose body wouldn't adjust to that, in a week. So it isn't like you're losing, an hour of sleep for months and months. It's just one night and some disturbances after that, maybe for the first week. But so people want to change this daylight savings time and all this stuff. And it's like, no. We tried that once, and people complained and said, bring it back, which they'll do this time too. Because face it or not, like it or not, we're animals, we're creatures. We live on the earth. We see the sun sees us. I see the moon and the moon sees me. God bless the moon and God bless me. That was a little rhyme in one of the kids' books. But you know, this idea of having the sun and being in the cycle is completely normal. To have differences in the time based on that. You know, and again, we go back to a time when we didn't have time zones or standard times. Well, basically, the day started when the sun was up. You got up and you did your stuff. And, you know, when the sun was getting ready to go down, you stopped. And, you know, yeah, there's difference in day lengths. Wow, was the wind blowing here? I just felt the whole van rock. But, you know, some days are shorter than the other days. But at least where I'm living in Maine, the day length I don't consider much of an issue, or the night length. Although, I mean, it's still dramatic. You could figure it out, look on charts and everything. And, you know, if you live in Alaska or someplace like that, that's dramatic, because you have a number of months where the sun is very low. And, you know, you go further north, there's a northernmost city, and I don't know if it's part of Finland or what, but I've watched some videos, and they basically have X number of months where there's absolutely no sunlight. But we don't live there. We live here where there is sun all through the year. And, you know, temporarily disrupting it doesn't really matter, because our bodies have this clock in them. It's chugging along, and my clock has been saying, gee, it's time to get up. Why are you still laying in bed? So move the time back, you know, and then like 5:30, it won't be 5:30 when I wake up. It will be 6:30, or it'll be like 7 o'clock, whatever. And that will be just fine for me. And like I said, when they did it before, people demanded it back. So I don't think it should be changed. And I think most people will agree with me after it's changed and they see what a disaster it is, because we are connected to the light of the sun. We can pretend to ignore it and everything and say, oh no, we can work at these hours and we'll do this. Well, no. We are, you know, human animals. We depend on the sun. We have daily cycle and all this stuff. There's even, they've been advertising for this drug for a long time for blind people. And what's the matter is they don't have the light clues coming in through their eyes because they can't see. And when they should be sleeping and when they should be awake gets totally confused. So you can have a blind person that wants to sleep all during daylight and then wakes up at night. And evidently, I'm not quite sure how the drug works, whether it's a, you know, something, it's got to be something that triggers either you're supposed to be awake now or you're supposed to be asleep now. But it must work with that switch and sets them on the right thing. I know I tried for a while because of sleep apnea problems. I tried this product called NuVigil. And the first time I took it, I couldn't sleep for 24 hours. I was just laying there. I'm awake. You know, and so, you know, I took it for a certain amount of time, but it didn't improve my ability to sleep at night. The idea behind it is you can't nap during the day. If you were tired during the day and you lay down, you close your eyes, no sleep. It's like that medicine goes in and, nope, we're turning that switch off. You aren't awake until this wears off. So that didn't work for me, and I got off of it, of course. I guess there's some Provigil, NuVigil are mirror images of each other. In other words, they had this drug first. It was working good, but the patent was running out. You know, drug companies spend all this money on developing drugs, and after a certain length of time, anyone can copy it and sell it. It becomes generic. So they thought, wait a second. Let's change it. Let's make a mirror image. So I might say these wrong, but Provigil, here's NuVigil. So it worked too. So now they have a new drug that they have a patent for that no one else can make or sell. And obviously there's probably going to be some differences the way they work. But anyway, that's an aside. But there we go. Loving the time changes. Bye.